everyone. Welcome to this edition of Lunchtime Chat. My name is Debbie Prue. I'm the Executive Director of NAMI Pasco. Also with us today is Natasha. She is the Vice President of NAMI Hillsborough. And our special guest today is Ken Delaney. Hi, Ken. Thank you for being with us today.
How you doing, Debbie? How you doing, Natasha?
Hi.
Can you tell us a little about yourself and what you do for NAMI?
Yes. Starting from when I wasn't in NAMI, or?
Well, right now we just want to know what your role is with NAMI.
Okay, right now I'm on the board of directors of NAMI. I do the family to family group. I did the support group with Debbie that was peer to peer. Actually, I do most of the groups that are in there. I've done most of the groups that are in there that NAMI gives, and that helps me in a lot of ways. You know, to talk to the people that are in NAMI, and just coming in new. You know, it makes me feel good to talk to new people. So, what else? I did something else too. I can't even remember. Oh, the connections meeting.
Yes, you're a facilitator for a lot of our programs, and also a participant, which is awesome because you can give both perspectives.
Yeah. So I enjoy doing it, and you know, like I said, it's like my medicine. It keeps me going. So, with this virus thing, I'm going crazy, but I'm growing a beard. That's a big thing, excitement.
So Ken, you mentioned that you are involved with family to family and also peer to peer.
Yeah.
So are we correct in saying that you identify as a person living with a mental illness, and you're also a family member to someone with a mental illness?
Yes. My daughter has a mental illness, and I'm diagnosed with bipolar. Mm-hmm. My daughter has anorexia, and she has a disorder of a mood disorder, which is borderline. And she is also, I think I told you, anorexic, and she has deep depression and PTSD. So myself, I have bipolar, more so on the depressive side, which I believe is bipolar 2. Mm-hmm. But I do have my hypomanic times. Hypomanic, what is it? Where I go off and I just can't stop doing stuff. You know, I keep going and going and going. Okay. So, but I am living with a person that does have mental illness too.
Now, Ken, what was the catalyst for you finally getting some help for yourself for your mental health condition? What initially made you go to the doctor or the hospital to seek treatment?
I was always depressed. I had a depression problem way back. And the way I solved that problem was self-medicating, of course, with drinking. So I drank an awful lot. And I drank one time where I got put in the hospital for drinking too much alcohol poisoning. And the doctor came up to me and told me that I am a dual diagnosis person. No idea what that meant. I had no idea that, and I meant I had a mental health issue plus an addictive issue with drinking. Went in the hospital. They gave me that diagnosis of bipolar. I came out, of course, I knew more than the doctor. So I went again and I drank because that made me feel, I didn't feel the pains of the bipolar. I shouldn't say pains, but I didn't feel bipolar. I just felt happy till the next morning when I got depressed again. So it's a vicious cycle. It just kept going on and on and on. And the first time I went in the hospital was 1980, and I lasted 20 years without going in there. Again, in 2020 is my second time. 2000. 2000 is my second time that I went in. And again, it was with drinking. And I figured, I always say this, I wanted to be an alcoholic, not a mentally ill patient, because of the stigma that is attached to a mentally ill person. Sometimes is worse than what an alcoholic would be. So again, I went in. I didn't listen again. I had a drinking problem. That's what I figured. And they gave me medications, and I threw them out because I read a word that said could cause seizures, and I said that's it. I'm not going to have a seizure, so I threw them out. A long story short, in 2013, 2014, and 2015, I was hospitalized again. One time, which I don't know why, but I cut myself really bad, really bad. And normally you don't get older guys that are cutting themselves. It's my daughter that she did it. So I said, well, let me try this. And I cut my arms pretty bad. So I went back to the hospital, and I think the fourth or fifth doctor told me that I have, bipolar with depressive episodes. And I should take this medicine, get a psychiatrist, get a control group support group, and get a counselor to talk to. And I was like, okay, all right. And I went out and I did get the meds, and I took them as directed. And the meds started to help, where I didn't feel as if I had to go out and drink. And I kept up on them because somebody told me it takes a while to get into your system. So I listened, because I was tired of getting sick and tired from drinking. So I started to feel a little bit better after about 6 weeks with the medication. And then I went and I got a counselor, and I talked to the counselor, and the counselor, helped me a lot. But with that, my daughter, Jamie, got word of a place called NAMI that they have meetings. And she said that there's a family-to-family meeting, Dad, that you can go to learn why, I do the things that I do. So I'm going, yeah, right, okay. So I said, all right, I'll go. I knew Gloria Struggs. And I said, all right, I'll go. So I went. And as I'm sitting at the meeting, I believe at that time it was a 12-week meeting, I started seeing things in myself that was in the meeting. And I'm looking at this stuff, and it's supposed to be for my daughter, but everything's ringing a bell for me. And I'm like, I even turned to my wife and I said, some of this sounds like me. And my wife, every time something came up, was pointing at right there. That's you. So I, all of a sudden, of course, the way I was going to cure my illness was to advocate. So that night, I'm like, I want to do this. I want to do this. Not recognizing that you have to do the groundwork first, and you have to do everything in the first step, second step, third step, and then you can go into advocacy, with the training and stuff. So it was my daughter really that got me into NAMI. Thank God, because since I've been in NAMI, I haven't been back in the hospital. I've been following what the support group says. I got coping skills now, like with a panic attack. I used to get panic attacks, leave everything in the store and take off. Well, now, I'll breathe and I'll focus on things and forget about the panic attack. So that was one of the coping skills, And you have to educate yourself. You have to educate yourself on it, and your family. Some people can't get their family to do it. If you can't get your family to do it. You educate yourself, so you know all about your illness. It's a brain illness. It's a disease just like any other disease, and it is controllable. Similar, we always say similar to diabetes, but it is. You can control diabetes. You can control your mental illness, as long as you follow what the program is, and that's groups, support groups, that's medication, that's getting a psychiatrist, and getting people that you can talk to that understand what you're going through. You can't say to somebody, I'm depressed, and they'll say, oh yeah, you'll get out of it, get out. No, I'm depressed for the rest of my life. I got to take medication, and I got to watch that I don't get hyper, because if I get hyper, then my thing is damage. I'll go out, drink, gamble. So I think I said one time I took an airplane to Atlantic City for no reason, just dopey things like that. And then when I get there, I'm like, what did I do this for? So, that's the illness for me. And, I thank God that I found people in NAMI that let me advocate and let me go, on to where I feel as if you can help just one person, or one person listens to what you're saying at those groups. You accomplish something. The groups, I love the groups. They're fun. We always had a lot of fun in the groups. I've been doing groups for about 4 years, and I've done probably 8 different groups. The connections is every week. So,
Ken, I've got a question for you. You
okay.
mentioned stigma, and I think that's really important. First, you're an Army veteran, correct?
Yeah, correct.
So on behalf of all of us, thank you. Thank you so much for your service.
Thank
And
you.
one thing that I share is when the strongest, the bravest, the boldest among us are having tough times with anxiety and depression and post-traumatic stress, we know that this isn't just a character flaw. Did you experience any stigma as a man, as a military man, as a veteran, when you first were coming to terms with understanding your diagnosis and sharing it with others?
Yeah, I did actually. I was in denial for so long, and when I got out of the service, still denial. And I actually, when I was in the service, talked to a counselor. They had a counselor for EAP, assistant support system they had there. I felt as if I didn't drink and party with the guys, I wasn't one of the guys. But I had an illness. I had an illness that I didn't really know about. And I never really realized it. Like I always say, like everybody would go home, all my friends, and I'd be going to the beach at 5 a.m, because I was hyper. As far as, I never really ran into any problems of anybody saying, you're a veteran, you're a man, you got to do this, you got to do that. I mostly did it on myself, because even in the service, it was, it was during Vietnam. I want to make it clear, I did not go to Vietnam, I went to Germany. But all the guys from Nam were coming back to Germany, so we all drank. That's what we did. And the dope, I never got involved in that. So, and coming out of the service, I had these issues. I had these problems that I couldn't solve except with self-medications. And, I just went right back to where I was with the guys I was hanging out with. I used to play, I played baseball. And of course, after those games, we went to the bar, played softball. After those games, we went to the bar. Everything was the bar, the bar, the bar. And I got to the point where I would have a panic attack if I didn't have a couple of beers before I went out of the house. And, that's when I started to realize, I had an aunt with mental health problems. I had my daughter with mental health problems. Never thinking of myself, always looking at them. The stigma was, like I said, was terrible for me because what I was, I had a lot going for me. I had a job. I had some athletic skills. I had somebody said, I have what it takes, but nobody wants it. You know? So that's basically where I was. And I was the type of person that I would get involved with something and get to the point where I was good at it and then quit. You know, the only thing I didn't do was NAMI because, you know, because this helps me a lot. You know, it's stigma. I got stigma because of friends making fun of it. You know, you're all right, you're all right. Just have a beer. And I tried to tell. I got my best friend. I said, you know, man, I can't do this no more. I can't. I have bipolar. And he understood. Best man in my wedding. So, you know, that's about the stigma I felt. I didn't get that much stigma except for the guys making fun of me for not drinking.
All right, Ken, you've shared a lot of wonderful information with us today. I have one last question for you.
Okay.
If there's somebody watching who has a mental health condition or is suffering with their mental health, what is your advice to them? What would you tell them?
The first thing I would tell them is to try to get a good support group under them, and you know, find a doctor that can give them the medicine or the diagnosis that they need. I know that's easier said than done, but don't give up on it because, you know, I tried and I finally got my doctor. When you do get a doctor, take your medications and find a group like NAMI that supports you, that you could speak to people that understand what you're speaking about. A lot of people that aren't involved in NAMI or anything else try to tell their loved ones what they have, and their loved ones don't want to hear it because they're stigma, you know, stigma. So that's what I would tell them. Get involved, get educated. Oh, that's the big one. Get educated about yourself. Like when I went to that family to family, I was like, it's big education for me right there. And get a support group. Definitely get a doctor, you know, and a counselor. And if you can't get all of that stuff, at least get a doctor so you can get your medicines and take them. Take them. I know a lot of people, including my daughter, where I find pill bottles all over full because she won't take it. So, but I take my medicine and things have been very normal, right on the line with the baseline that I should be at. So take it from me. Take your meds and get a doctor and join a support group. So that's what I would do.
Wonderful, wonderful. Ken, thank you so much for sharing everything that you've shared about your journey, your family's mental health journey. Thank you for all that you bring to NAMI, and of course, thank you for your service to this nation. We really appreciate you. And
Thanks.
for everyone else, stay tuned for another edition of the Lunchtime Chat.